The sun had barely touched the horizon, and the cold air bit at the exposed skin of early humans. Deep inside a rocky cave, a lone caveman opened his eyes. Outside, the world was wild, untamed, and full of danger. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant roar of a predator, the crack of a branch, could mean life or death. He rose slowly, his muscles stiff from the night on the hard stone. Hunger gnawed at his belly, but the forest outside was full of risks. One wrong step, one careless move, and he could become prey. Around him, the cave walls were etched with marks and symbols, stories of survival passed down by his ancestors. They whispered warnings about the beasts that roamed at dawn. He crouched low, scanning the shadows at the cave's mouth. Mist curled around tree trunks like ghostly fingers. Somewhere in the distance he heard a howl, sharp, urgent, terrifying. His heart pounded. Today he would hunt. Today he would gather. Today he would survive. Every movement had to be careful, every decision precise. The forest did not forgive mistakes. And yet, there was a strange beauty in this raw, dangerous world. Life was simple, yes, but every day was a battle, and every breath was earned. In the silence of the dawn, the caveman stepped into the unknown. Where the line between survival and death was razor thin, the caveman moved silently through the forest, each step careful, each breath measured. The sun had climbed higher, but the shadows still hid dangers. Somewhere nearby, a deer grazed, unaware of the hunter watching. His hands tightened around a sharpened spear, worn from use but deadly in skilled hands. Hunting was not just food, it was survival. One wrong move, one misstep, and he could become the hunted. The forest was alive with threats. Wolves that circled unseen, snakes that slithered silently, and even rival humans protecting their territory. Every sound made him freeze. A twig snapping underfoot, a leaf brushing against bark, the low growl of a distant predator. He crouched behind a bush, eyes locked on the deer. The animal's ears twitched, nostrils flaring. Time seemed to stretch, each heartbeat thunderous in his chest. Then a sudden rustle. Another predator, a wolf, appeared, stalking both him and the deer. The caveman's mind raced. Should he attack now or wait for a safer moment? He chose patience. Slowly, carefully, he adjusted his aim. With one precise throw, the spear flew, embedding itself in the deer. Relief and fear mixed in equal measure. He had succeeded, but danger still lurked. Hunting was never over, and survival was never guaranteed. As he dragged the prey back to the cave, he knew the forest had tested him again. Each hunt was a gamble with life itself, and each day demanded skill, courage, and sharp instincts. In the world of the caveman, no one could take survival for granted. While some risked life in the hunt, others searched the forest for food hidden in plain sight. The caveman moved carefully among the trees, his eyes scanning the ground for roots, berries, and edible plants. What seemed simple could be deadly. One wrong plant, one misjudged root, and illness or death could follow. The forest was alive with subtle dangers. Snakes coiled in the underbrush, waiting for careless hands. Spiny plants could pierce skin, and insects could sting with sharp venom. Yet every bite of food meant survival. Knowledge passed down from elders guided him. He knew which berries were sweet, which roots were bitter but nourishing, and which plants to avoid entirely. A rustle nearby froze him. A small snake slithered past, barely noticed at first. His heart raced. One wrong movement and the bite could be fatal. Slowly he stepped around it, maintaining focus on his task. He dug carefully with a simple stone tool, scraping roots from the soil while listening to the forest's many warnings. Despite the dangers, there was a quiet rhythm to the gathering. Each find brought a small victory. Each safe step reinforced his survival skills. And yet the forest demanded respect. As the sun moved higher, he collected enough food to sustain the tribe, knowing that tomorrow the forest would offer new challenges, new dangers, and new lessons. In the world of the caveman, survival was never guaranteed. Every meal, every root, every berry carried the weight of life or death. And each day, the forest silently judged those who dared to enter its shadows. The caveman returned to his cave as the sun began its slow descent. Outside, the forest grew darker, the shadows stretching and twisting like silent predators. Inside, safety waited, but only if he could maintain it. Fire was life. Without it, the cold would bite, and the dangers of night would creep in. He knelt near the small pile of glowing embers, feeding the flames with dry twigs and leaves. Sparks danced in the air, tiny stars in the dark cave. One wrong move, and the fire could die, leaving him vulnerable. Or worse, too large a blaze could set the cave alight, destroying his fragile home. Every movement required careful attention. Around him, the cave walls were etched with marks, warnings from ancestors, stories of survival, and reminders that danger never slept. Outside, the wind howled, carrying the distant cries of predators. A lone wolf's howl pierced the night, sharp and terrifying. The fire's warmth was the only shield against the cold and the hunt. He checked the entrance, barricading it with rocks and branches to keep intruders away. Every stick, every stone, every ember mattered. Sleep would come only when he was certain the fire would burn and the cave would protect. As darkness fully settled, he stared into the flickering flames, reflecting on the day's struggle. The fire was more than warmth. It was life, hope, and survival. And in that fragile glow, the caveman knew one truth. In a world this wild and unforgiving, mastery of fire and shelter was the line between life and death. The night was cold, and the wind whispered threats through the trees outside the cave. The caveman wrapped himself in animal furs, the rough textures scratching his skin, but keeping him alive. Clothes were not fashion, they were survival. Without them, the freezing cold could take him, or worse, leave him weak and vulnerable to predators. He examined the furs carefully. Every stitch, every tie mattered. A loose piece could tear during a hunt or fail to protect during a storm. These clothes were made from the animals he and his tribe had hunted, each one a reminder of risk, skill, and necessity. Outside, the forest was full of unseen dangers. Wolves prowled silently, and other humans sometimes threatened their territory. The caveman shivered, not just from the cold, but from the awareness that each night brought unknown threats. Even a single mistake in preparing his furs or shelter could prove fatal. He adjusted a fur around his shoulders and crouched near the fire. The warmth seeped into his bones, chasing away the chill. His hands worked instinctively, repairing small tears, making sure nothing could fail him tonight. In the quiet, he reflected on the harsh world he lived in. Survival depended not only on strength, but on preparation, skill, and constant vigilance. Clothes were protection, a shield against the deadly night, and a lifeline in a world where every moment demanded attention. As he settled in near the fire, the caveman understood one truth: life in the wild was fragile, and survival was earned every day in every detail. The fire crackled softly, casting flickering shadows across the cave walls. The caveman was not alone. Around him, family members huddled for warmth, their faces marked by fatigue, determination, and the silent understanding that survival depended on each other. Life in the wild was not just about hunting or gathering, it was about the tribe, the bond that kept them alive. He watched a younger member struggle to tie furs properly. A small mistake could be dangerous in the cold night, but patience and guidance made survival possible. Knowledge had to be shared, lessons passed from one generation to the next. The tribe's strength lay in their cooperation, their unity against the forest's endless threats. Outside, danger never rested. Predators prowled, and rival humans sometimes challenged their territory. Each member had a role. Some hunted, others gathered, some guarded, others cared for the young. Every task mattered, and one failure could mean death. A sudden cry from the edge of the cave startled everyone. A wolf or another human? The caveman's heart raced, but the tribe was ready. They formed a silent line, weapons at the ready, eyes scanning the dark. The threat passed, but the tension lingered, a reminder that life was fragile, even among the safety of numbers. As the night deepened, laughter, murmurs, and the soft crackle of fire filled the cave. Life was hard, yes, but together the tribe endured. In the wild, survival was never just individual, it was the strength, skill, and unity of the group that kept them alive. Night had fully fallen, and the forest outside the cave was alive with sounds that could make even the bravest heart race. The wind moaned through the trees, and distant howls echoed like warnings. The caveman sat close to the fire, its warmth cutting through the chill, its flickering light casting dancing shadows on the cave walls. He looked around at his tribe. They were tired but safe for now. The dangers of the day had passed, and the lessons learned were written into memory. Which routes were safe, how to track prey, the importance of fire, the value of furs, and the strength found in unity. Survival demanded constant attention, but it also brought understanding. Outside, predators roamed silently, unaware that the fire kept them at bay. Every flicker reminded the caveman that life was fragile. One misstep, one careless moment, and everything could be lost. Yet in that quiet, there was a strange comfort, a rhythm to life that had persisted for thousands of years. He reflected on the day, the hunt, the gathering, the fire, the lessons, and the bonds with his tribe. Life was simple, harsh, and beautiful all at once. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight the tribe rested. The forest still whispered its secrets, but for now the caveman could close his eyes, knowing he had survived another day. And in that fragile, flickering light, one truth remained clear. The life of a caveman was never easy, but it was a life lived fully, in constant awareness, courage, and connection.